Hi everyone, and welcome to this tutorial. It's an introduction to arrays in Java, and today we're going to be looking at integer arrays. Now, we've already looked at how to declare variables in Java, and here we have an integer data type, and I'm just giving it the label x. So now I can start using it in my computer program. Interestingly, by the way, if I declare a variable in Java and then I try to print out what that variable is storing, I get an error. And let's just run the program and see what error we're getting. The local variable x may not have been initialized. Let's very quickly have a look at what's happening here. Okay, I'm just going to declare a variable here called index this time, and this is what happens behind the scenes in memory. A little box of memory is reserved, big enough to hold integers, and we've labeled it index. But this line of code, this declaration, isn't really enough for anything to happen. There's nothing in that box. It is absolutely, completely empty. There is no value there. So when we do system.out.print index, Java is like, confused, there's nothing there. So usually when we declare a variable, we also have to initialize the variable. We have to put a value into that memory space in order to get things started. So here I've declared a variable and I've initialized a variable. And we're working with a primitive data type called int. And with primitive data types, the data can go directly into the memory box that we create. That's a primitive data type. Today, however, we're going to be looking at integer arrays. And here I'm declaring an integer array called indexes. So now that we've moved on to this topic, I'm just going to get rid of this stuff here, and we can focus on integer arrays. Let's just set this up in Eclipse, and let's just see what happens. So this time I've got an integer array. Let's just call it indexes. And I'm going to do system.out.print indexes. Okay, let's see what happens here. Again, we've got an error here, but I'm going to run the program to see what it tells me. The local variable indexes it's the same error. Now this line of code is not giving me an error. This line of code here is fine. I am declaring an integer array and I'm giving it the label indexes. That's fine. But similar to what happened when we were messing around with integers, we haven't actually put any data into that memory box. We've declared the variable, that's fine, but there's nothing to play with. So Java gets confused when we use system.out.print. What we have to do is initialize the variable. And this is how to do it with integer arrays in Java. We tell Java that our new variable is equal to a new integer array that is going to store 4 integers for me. Okay? So there's a keyword in Java. Let's just highlight that. So indexes will be assigned a new integer array which can hold 4 integers. This is the syntax that you need to know when you're initializing an integer array. Okay? Now, a little question came to my mind when I was thinking about this. Are we going to put 4 integers into the same little memory box? Is that possible? Can I do this? Let's just drag out some more of these. This is a little bit weird. And it just makes me question how things work behind the scenes in programming languages such as Java. This is probably the same in C, C++, Python. Can we do this? I don't think so. Later in my computer program, how would I be able to access each individual variable or piece of data if I stuck them all inside the indexes box? It just doesn't seem reasonable for us to put them all into the same memory box. So let's get rid of them, and let me show you how Java does this. When we type in this line of code here, Java says, okay, that's fine. I'm going to set up a little reference variable called indexes, which is going to point to another little memory of area, where there will be 4 little integer boxes waiting to be used. The first memory box is going to be called indexes 0. The second little memory box is going to be called indexes 1. The third little memory box is going to be called indexes 2. And the fourth little memory box is going to be called indexes 3. So you have to figure out, guys, as beginner programmers, that when we initialize an integer array and we tell Java to set up 4 integer boxes for us, the first one is referenced by a 0. And the final one is referenced by the size of the array that you want, -1. Okay? With a little bit of practice, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. So let's just go ahead and do this in Java. Just going to comment that out for a minute. We'll get back to that in a minute. So I've declared my variable. Now I'm going to initialize it. And that is the right way to spell initialize, isn't it? Come on. So indexes is equal to a new integer array size or length. The length of the array will be 4. Okay, brilliant. So this time there's no errors at the moment. I've got a warning here. Just not going to bother about that for now. The question is, how can I see what's in any of those 4 memory boxes? Well, I just told you that each memory box has its own address. The first one is known as indexes 0, and the second one is known as indexes 1, 2, 3, etc. So let's use that idea in a system.out.print. I want to see currently what indexes square brackets 0 is holding. Okay? Now I've initialized the array, but I haven't initialized the individual box yet. Indexes 0, I haven't put anything into that. But I don't get an error. Let's see what happens. Ooh! Brilliant! So Java automatically shoves a 0 into that little memory box for me. Brilliant! So I don't have to worry about initializing each of the individual variables, which would cause an error when I try to run a program without initializing. This is what Java does when we write this line of code here. Thank you, Java, for doing this for me. You saved me a big headache. When we set up or initialize our integer array to have 4 boxes, Java sets it all up for us and packs a 0 into each of the integer boxes. Thank you, Java. I could do that, sure. It's only length 4. But what if my integer array is of length 1,000? Oh my goodness. I would have to initialize each of those individual boxes. That would take a long time, maybe. There might be some technique